I think the real issue is that you're picking up the carpet and finding issues.
Right, right. And yeah.
Could we, for the benefit and edification of all of us, could we see the presentation that Dean put together comparing this, doing an analysis on this? Would that be okay? I mean, I think it would be very...
One quick question, or one quick comment. You're not on social media. You got off of social media.
Fast as I could.
But your name is all over social media for being the instigator of all of this,
Sure.
for viewing the movies, all of this.
I'm sorry, for what?
Yeah, I mean, talk about neighbor pitting a neighbor. One of our neighbors posted on Facebook this whole scenario. And
But it did happen. I know the one.
well, it may have happened,
I don't
but
know if he's
he doesn't know about it.
Well, so hold on, I'm sorry, please. Because now I'm going to ask for a point of order. The implication is somehow, me personally,
Yeah, your name is all over Facebook.
Yes.
in the spectrum of asinine things I read on the internet in this community, that is now the #1 most asinine thing I've read. So let me get off of the tangent and go right back to this issue. If there is any indication at all that somehow I have access to the body camera footage, it is patently untrue. And if anybody is saying that, I think you really need to take a look at what's that motivation about.
Yeah.
You talk about neighbor against neighbor, you're entitled to your own opinion, but you don't get your own facts. I don't get just to make stuff up, and that's just made up. And not only is it made up, it's made up to hurt what we're doing in this community.
I can tell you who did it if you want to know.
Okay.
So 10 minutes tops, indulge me on this. Here's a quote in August when the board was looking at outsourcing, where John Bowman is being specifically asked by Director Thompson, I'd like to make sure that we are matching apples for apples, security staffing wise. And then here is Treasurer CFO Finister saying, quote, more recently, November, we agreed to a 1-for-1 for less money and no liability. And then here is the subsequent management's release of the 2016 budget summary, where the summary contains this blast that says, quote, some of the projected savings as a result of decreased patrol hours, 282 per week compared to 342 per week hours, which I think Cheney has already identified that I'm telling you that I was in line with, we were trying to get like for like, so there's the majority of the board demonstrated right there that we were doing our very best to get like for like services. But yet management is coming up with an analysis that, number one, lacked any finance committee's input, skipped the CFO's review, and skirted any board approval. And we, meaning the CFO, the Finance Committee, and the board, got a 4-hour preview, not knowing that it was going to be sent, but just, hey, wanted to get this in your hands. And there were a whole slew of questions sent to management. All of those went unanswered, and management issued the analysis anyway. One of the unanswered questions was...
this after the fact?
Was what happened. The questions were in advance, after the analysis was done, but we didn't know the analysis had been done by management, and in advance in that 4-hour time frame before they issued the analysis. So what I'm getting at is the board's belief, what it was getting is not being fairly characterized by management, and I, frankly, as an individual director, feel like they work for us. I realize they don't work for me, but they work for the collective board. This was a unanimous decision, and this isn't conveying to you what our belief was at all. It's conveying what they want to convey.
And just quickly, since we're in a meeting here, I'd like to reinforce that fact, because I'm not on social media, and now I know why. This was a unanimous decision. So if this board, by all 5 of these directors, so if folks want to try to hang this around my neck or Getz's neck, go ahead, I'm proud of this. I think this was the right decision for this community, but it wasn't just me. And if I had the power to unilaterally make changes, they would be much bigger than security. We make some changes in accounting, we make some changes in how our money is tracked, but I don't have that authority, I don't have that power. So if you're seeing some sort of an indication that I and Getz is a cabal, some somehow hoodwinked, tricked, lied to, that, again, we'll go back to the body cam. Not only is it untrue, but consider where that's coming from. Why did that be put out there?
You can't even establish a quorum.
That's not getting the whole meeting. I'm sorry.
So that says in-house right there, and this says 38,944 total hours, and that says 3109. And so I posed the question, $31.09 times 38,944 hours gets you that big number at the bottom. 1,210,769. Yeah. And so I asked, well, why is the whole employee cost, this line, plus the contract labor being shown at a mere $1,932,000, or a difference of $200,000? Mind you, this is before the analysis has been issued. And then I asked them on the other side, this says Paladin's annual hours, and it comes down here to a total of 33,780. And an hourly rate calculated to be $26.99, and I say, well, Paladin's 33,780 hours are fixed by contract, because they've identified their service level. How do we get, that is Paladin's total security cost of $869,624, which is $869K times 33,780 hours. How is that $26.99 an hour? And it's actually, if you take 869 divided by 33,780, you get $25.75, $1 and a quarter less. So you have this disparity between the two services. And then we go a little further. Per the analysis, the security services show that the gatehouse hours match 17,500 hours for both in-house and Paladin. But management contends that Paladin offers less management. Yet Paladin's costs include all training, all scheduling, and all recruiting, for example. Management decided that they needed to take a deduct on Paladin's service side for a full-time person, 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, that's 2,080 hours. And I'm identifying, this is the September 2015 Serrano Security Department report. It shows there are 15 full-time officers, 7 part-time officers, 1 department coordinator, and 1 part-time crossing guard. I blocked out a good chunk of this to not identify any confidential information, but what this section down here identifies is a graveyard officer remains on disability due to non-work-related injury, and another officer is doing this, and the third one is resigned, and the last line on the bottom down here says, currently recruiting 2 full-time officers, a part-time officer, and 3 on-call part-time officers. All of that, again, is included in Paladin's cost. All the recruiting, all the training, all the staffing. So, the management's proportionate assertion that there needs to be a deduct, and this says reduction to savings, $139,376, for, in this case, going across 2,080 hours of the security manager that Paladin doesn't provide, really doesn't hold any water. So we go back to the list. Gatehouse matches, Paladin certainly doing more than management is purporting. We get to the third column here, which is patrol. And the patrol hours in-house are identified at 17,704 in the analysis you were sent. And really what we believed we were getting is 15,260, which is really nearly all of Paladin's time, because instead of sitting in a building somewhere, all of the Paladin services are out in patrol or overseeing the patrol officers doing patrol or overseeing the gatehouse operations, which effectively doesn't reduce patrol in our mind very much. So again, back to management suggests that the savings is a result of decreased patrol to 282 hours per week compared to 342 hours per week. When we just break that down a little further, the post orders that we have provided to Paladin, that we reviewed thoroughly, call for 320 hours a week, not 342 hours a week. So the extra hours are maybe being provided, but certainly were not told to the board.
So not authorized necessarily?
Not necessarily authorized, certainly not the directive that management reported this is what we're providing for service.
Well, and this is an aside too, I don't mean to chime in, but this is relevant to the discussion. I don't know if you folks know that the leave policy of Serrano is that employees earn 0.1 hours of paid time off for every hour worked. And what that equates to is 26 days a year of paid leave. So our security staff was on leave so frequently that we had to hire a vendor, Monument Security, to come in and backfill for when all, so we essentially had to pay to have a contract officer here because we were paying all officers to be off on leave. So when you look at this analysis, Dean's, I guess it doesn't change the net result, but understand that 40 hours a week of the patrol hours, of your service hours, were being provided by a private company. You just didn't know it because they wore the same color shirts as our guys. 32 hours a week at the gatehouse and 16 hours a week on patrol. So as you start to flush this out, you see when you say, well, it's apples to apples, it's really not apples to apples. And for all the doom and gloom of I can't believe you would consider going to contract security, folks, you already had it. You had contract security people in this community every day of the week. In fact, our people were off so frequently that we had one Monument Security officer here full-time for 2 years, not filling in every day. This is where he came to work, and a second Monument officer here full-time for a year. So when you talk about service hours, keep in mind that 320 hours a week, 40 of those are being provided by a contract management company, not your actual Serrano officers, because your Serrano officers are off on paid leave, and we had to backfill them, which when you have a contractor is not our problem. If a paladin officer goes on vacation, they send another one. We don't pay for that. We don't have to deal with that. We don't have a secondary cost. So in the analysis, that 320, 40 of those is a private security vendor that we had an agreement with since 2008.
And who approved that?
The board of directors approved the contract in 2008, and it's been on a month-to-month basis since 2009.
26 days a year?
Oh, who approved that? No, that's your across the board. That's all your employees, all employees.
Wow.
That's paid time off. That's not sick leave. That's all, meaning if we separate an employee, that's all 100% paid out. And the other issue we're into with Monument is our current Serrano policy allows staff to cash out up to 40 hours of their paid time off in October every year. So they could continue to work and draw their regular pay while they took 40 hours worth of their pay. And so as a result, you can see we had a lot of staffing holes, right? So I didn't know, I guess it could be my fault as I tried to untangle this and I started looking at this. I didn't realize Monument officers were on patrol. I didn't realize, I thought maybe they were at the gatehouse and it's an access control function. I didn't realize we were putting them in cars and sending them out. So when you look at this weekend, this surge of activity on the weekends, how do we have 3 cars driving around? You try to do the math, 15 full-time officers, these part-timers, there's 3 cars out there on a Sunday night. How does that work? It works because you hired another company to come in and provide that officer.
Robert, can I say something?
Yes, sir.
My name's Maury Hannigan. I live on Greenview, been here 8 years. I understand a lot of what Robert says, but let's get to some real facts here.
Well, let's
Just a minute.
Hang on.
Just a minute. The contract calls for 36 hours of patrol. 40 hours you're throwing in as a supervisor. So it's 36 hours. It's 252 hours of patrol with Paladin is contracted to provide. We had, this says 320. Actually, it was 312 that we were providing. Okay. Paladin is providing 3 shifts a day, 7 days a week. That's 21 patrols. We had 39 patrols. You have lost 18 patrols. They were working 12-hour shifts, we were working 8-hour shifts. Now, I was on the highway patrol. And when the union wanted to go to 12 hours, I said, no way, there's too much coverage on the beats. There's no way we can do that. This is 12 hours. You're getting 21 shifts a week. You had 39. You lost 18 patrols. That's 47% reduction in your patrol coverage. So you're not seeing more. There's no way you're seeing more.
I can tell you that I live in
You tell me whatever you want. You're not seeing more.
K3 and 4, and those old security managers used to come in our front gate and go right down the road and go out the back gate.
Fine.
So we weren't getting all the patrols that we should have.
Maureen, it sounds to me, you're saying that I'd rather have $21 bills than a $20 bill. I mean, I don't get
By the way,
that.
on the analysis,
Yeah.
they dropped out the management time in the equation. If you dropped in and like you did on the other side, it comes out to $28 an hour. 28.18 to be exact. So
So
I have
you're
problems.
admitting that management
I have
hasn't done
problems with the analysis.
Okay.
You're a big guy.
But I'm just telling you, factually, you lost 18 patrols a week.
We need 18 more patrols.
No, so let me just, this is Lori's point is valid, and everybody's concerns should be addressed. I think this is an area that Maureen and I have worked on traffic, he and I clearly disagree, because I look at service hours. So, and I know Maureen focuses on, we used to work 8-hour shifts, Paladin works 12-hour shifts, and obviously 3 12-hour shifts, there's not 36 hours in a day, so you have periods of time. You had a contract manager where there could be as many as 3 officers on at the same time. I think this is analogous in my mind. If I have a $20 bill on the table and I have 20 singles, are the singles worth more than the 20?
It depends where you are.
They're worth the same amount, but that's true. They're worth the same amount. So I think you want to say we have 18 less patrols. That may be accurate in the sense that your 8-hour shifts aren't working, but to me, I'm focusing on the number of hours the services are being provided to the community. Sir?
Do we need 18 more shifts so they can tell us our garage doors open?
Well, that's-
Our trash cans are in the way.
That's a discussion of what we can have over the next few months.
I think I just got a comment though, it's like, what about the issue of them entering our backyard?
What about that issue?
What are they, I mean, what is their instruction that they receive, and why would you not know that as a board member if you're approving the security agreement as to what the security people are, what services are they offering, what are they allowed to do? I mean, have they been instructed if you hear allowed, you know, if there's a noise complaint, here are the steps that you're allowed to take. But if they're saying that they're coming into our backyard, I think that that's an issue.
It is, and I
The board
think-
doesn't understand.
I think if you don't know all the facts, I think...
No, I'm asking, I'm just asking.
No, I agree with you. But I think if you, me, you, if we don't know all the facts, I think the logical place to run to, if you're trying to get people stirred up, is you get this image of these
I'm
jacked...
not, I'm just asking.
I'm not saying you. I'm not...
But if the board has approved for this contract to be in place.
You are postal. They follow our postal orders. But
Okay.
there's
There's nothing in the contract that says they should or shouldn't do in someone's
no, but
backyard.
the issue
Well,
is
but
you
there
can't...
should be direction upon that, right?
Yes, but you can't write an order for every scenario. It's not possible. They're going to encounter things. Now, I don't know the specifics of this event, but you raise a very good point. Why don't
They
I?
should be trained in that. You should, like,
They
they
are.
should know training whether or not, if he says that you're not allowed to go in somebody's backyard, it should not even be a question. It should never ask them if they should have gone.
But I don't know what happened, because our...
It doesn't matter what happens.
Well, to be honest,
To go into someone's backyard.
to be honest with you, I don't know that the board ever had any directive for in-house staff not to go into the backyard. I mean,
Well, then they
If
should.
it's a legal issue, then it
no
is.
question, we're trying to get a handle on what's being done, but the services that Paladin is providing currently match the post orders
It's our
that
orders.
were,
They got our orders.
with the exception of anything that wasn't legal, which there were some things that were not legal, so.
And since Dane brings that up, it's important for you as a community to understand that your operating orders, the operating orders of the Serrano community, so we talk about liability, it's great to me that folks are so concerned about it. We should be. When you're an employer in the state of California, you've got liability. It's bad if one of our officers goes out and does something, if one of our employees goes out and does something that violates the law. We all agree with that. That's bad for us, right? It's worse if they do it because that's what their training manual and their instructions tell them. And in our orders, there were 3 sections of our training manual, of our orders, that directly conflicted with California law. So is that a problem for us? Yes, that's a problem for us. We have a section about breaking and entering, a section about detaining people, about how we detain people, and a section on use of force, something about a use of
What was
force.
the breaking and entering?
There is no breaking and entering. That's not a thing, but it was in our post orders explaining to them what they should do in a case of a breaking and entering. That's not a thing in
Then
California.
modify it.
Let's try and finish this quickly and we can move
I'm
on.
curious about the cost though, like
I'm sorry?
where the cost does fall out, because it seems like there's conflicting.
I think that's what he's trying to do, sorry. Go ahead, Dan, I'm
Can
sorry.
I just thank you guys for being here and doing this?
Yes.
I've lived here for 15 years, and I have never had the opportunity to question one board member about anything, ever.
They get up and walk out.
They'd get up and walk out. They wouldn't ask my opinion, they wouldn't answer my questions. So first, thank you. And then the other thing I just want to get off my chest is that I think it's great that these people are here, and I think it's great that more people are coming to the board meetings. That's what we need to do. The fact that people get on social media and use social media comments as fact is scary and like shocking. I am the subject personally, and that's why I'm a little passionate right now, at this very minute of an attack on social media about something that's happening in this community. And my only request, after thanking you guys, because I think you're doing things finally, at least in a way that we deserve, and that you're giving us the respect at least to be able to have the conversation. But the other request that I would make is if people want information, don't get it on social media. Come to meetings. That's why I'm here. Ask questions. No, that's why I said, I think it's great that people are here. And get information in ways that you're actually going to get information. And if we as a community want to make a change, I mean, we have Dean and Robert on our board. The fact that we have 2 out of 5 board members finally that are homeowners is a big achievement. Let's work to get additional board members that are homeowners, and that takes voting. And again, that's the involvement thing. Otherwise, we really can't complain.
Well, and it's important to be fair, that Thunderstorm and they are owners in this community, so we just need to be fair, right? And I think that Kirk takes a lot of criticism because he's not. I think that's fair, but the other 2 are, and I just want to make sure we say
And
this.
is John Bowman an owner here? No. Okay, so, and then the way to answer your
But he
question.
can't vote on the board.
So-
He is management, but he can't vote on it.
But if we wanted to, we as a homeowners association wanted to fire John Bowman, we would need board approval to do that.
You will.
Okay, so again, it comes back to electing people in order to vote in ways that are gonna.
Jeff, I'm sorry, Jeff, right, Jeff, I'm sorry.
Thank you. So if we just step back from the numbers for a second, I think the way management has presented the savings is dishonest. Because at a minimum, you should state the absolute savings. And I don't believe that's 90,000. If management wants to extrapolate what if service levels were the same and have a separate figure for that, then they could provide that. But not providing the absolute savings and just providing that hypothetical extrapolated savings is incomplete. And I don't think it's very, I don't think it's 100% honest to do that. You know, I think there's a disagreement as to what the hypothetical savings is if you, what the service level differences are, and I don't know that any of us can quickly review that. I think they failed on providing that first figure.
I would just say to you that, and I'm sorry, sir, I promise, sir, that I'm not adverse to sharing when I read it, I immediately sent an email and I copied the finance committee, or maybe it was the board, because in my mind, as a procedural thing, if 3/5 of the board agreed that this analysis was correct, then that's it. That's the board's position. Management is executing the board's position. I think the area I grow concerned about is, and I don't mean this in a kind of an ignorant way, management or staff, maybe to your point, ma'am, they don't get to have opinions. They get to make recommendations. The only people that get to have opinions are the board. They're either going to accept the recommendation, they're going to modify it, they're going to reject it. The issue I think Dean and I had in this case is we didn't get not only did we not get an opportunity to see it, but we got 4 hours before it went out. We had a bunch of questions that weren't answered before it went out. So I think from a procedural standpoint, if you agree or disagree with the numbers, the process by which it went out is something that it was concerning enough to Dean and I that we wanted to get some folks together. I'm sorry, sir.
It seems like accounting's an art, not a science. And what concerns me about this is that either we have a contract that says it's going to cost X.
That's right.
And we have history of what it cost before. And the numbers don't lie. They either are the truth or they aren't the truth. So it seems to me that you said as a board that we were going to get exactly the same service that we had before, except we were going to do it with a third party. Okay, fine. I don't like how it was done. I don't like the subterfuge. I don't like the fact that everybody's mad at everybody. I don't like any of that. But it's done. So I think that we need total transparency. We need to say, here is what it's going to cost, period. And if you want a footnote, and we do want a footnote, because if the service level is not exactly the same, and that seems to be the issue, if it is the same, then it should cost the same, more or less, whatever it is. And I don't see that. What I see is, well, we don't necessarily think the numbers are, I mean, are you saying that the accounting is putting out false numbers?
Look, I'm going to tell you that your Serrano Owners Association has been taking in all its parkway money and never showing any of it on their financial statements or their tax returns. I don't know what you call that, but I would tell you this. There is no reason why you would take in almost $1 million in
Are
one
you
year.
saying that the revenue that came into Serrano,
Cash money, $1 million.
where'd it go?
Wash one side, revenue out against expense, show no one.
Let's make this fair.
Year after year.
That's up here.
Exactly, right.
You reduce the expenses down. Instead of looking at it as revenue. I mean,
What's it
the
called,
bottom line-
miscellaneous revenue?
It was called nothing. It wasn't shown to you
As
at all.
part of our, we would send an invoice to the Parkway, they would send us
That's a
a
pretty
check.
serious accusation. I'd like you to prove that.
You want to give me an email address? I'll email it to you.
You betcha.
All right.
You're just saying the bottom line is the same, it's just the.
I'm saying you bring in $1 million, you do the work with the Serrano Owners Association's resources, you say that the $1 million that you brought in cost $1 million to do, you make it all go away, and you show no difference you don't show the money came in or the money went out at all. In fact, we're in the process in the Finance Committee right now of evaluating our workers' compensation costs, partially because of this. Lo and behold, the Finance Committee has pushed to be involved in the I guess, quote, queue or proposal for what the renewal costs would be, and we've had to provide the DE6s, which are the quarterly reports of actual payroll. The payroll reports are significantly higher than what's been shown to the Serrano owners. So meaning payroll has always been a larger amount of money to generate those billings that went to Parkway that you never saw. So there's a whole bunch of stuff you haven't seen.
There's no line item even?
That's correct. You're seeing net of Parkway expenses to provide the services, and you're seeing net of any Parkway income. So Parkway is phantom to the Serrano owners.
So you're saying somebody's putting money in their pocket?
I'm not saying where it's going.
The bottom
I'm saying
line is the same.
It's
just-
wait a minute. If income and expenses don't match, we spent more for the income, then it's not, the bottom line is the same. Or if the income is larger than the expenses, it's profit.
No, I'm just asking a question as far as the booking piece, because I am an accountant, so I do understand that. Are you saying that versus showing the revenue, they're just, like, say maybe let's say that it all related to payroll, right? And your payroll costs were actually 1.5 million, but you brought in 1 million, so your payroll on your income statement is actually $500,000 because they netted them?
That's what they're
Or-
doing, yeah.
Okay. Alright. It's
Like you
in
said,
there, it's just not.
Well, it's not
properly
in there, because all we see is the net of.
The net amount, okay.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But for that to be proper, the net had to be the net. I mean, either the revenue, there has to be either a debit or a credit. I mean,
Yeah.
something's gotta happen.
Well, the Serrano Owners Association has grown from, say, $500,000 in 2010 in operating excess to $2.5 million in 5 years. Maybe that's where it's coming from, or maybe that's part of where it's coming from, but you can't see it. That's what we're trying to get to, and that's what we're trying to show you how all this stuff works. And we're standing here and trying to own up to, this is exactly what you need to know. So if I can finish, and I'd be happy to email you, and I'd be happy to stand behind, this is exactly where the income went. I can't tell you if it nets out to a gain or a loss yet, but we're working on it. So,